Good morning, world. It's being willing to come back with another video. Like I said, once again, I want to say thank you for subscribing to my channel and giving me your time. I really appreciate it, and definitely for leaving comments. I really appreciate it. Guys, today's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I just want to kind of give you my perspective of Martin Luther King Jr. I did grow up. I was born in the '60s. I grew up in the '70s. So from the '70s to now, I can't tell you that there's just been one particular narrative about Martin Luther King Jr. throughout. And I just want to kind of come and bring a different perspective and let people know, those that don't know, that there was another side of Martin Luther King Jr. After the I Have a Dream speech, because that's pretty much basically the only speech of significance that people know about. But I want to play a couple of snippets of some speeches that he had after that speech and give you my analysis of it. This first one is going to be his nightmare speech. So I'm just going to give you a small snippet of it, and we're going to come back and talk about it.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments, and I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go, and that we are involved in a war on Asian soil, which, if not checked and stopped, can poison the very soul of our nation.
Okay. That particular speech was his dream that turned into a nightmare. And basically what he was saying was that, the optimism he had in the government, doing what they said it was going to do, he felt betrayed. And it's heartaching because, there are a lot of Afro-melanated people that believed in this civil rights movement and whatnot. And I think there was also a section of melanated people that believe that the integration process is not going to work. Okay, if you have any type of historical background about what happened after slavery, and a lot of people don't even know about the many towns, the many all-black towns that were in Oklahoma, prosperous towns, where they were producing 2,000 barrels of oil a day, had their own banks. It was over 50 towns in the 1920s in Oklahoma. Okay, and the only thing people talk about, and this information is really not as open as you would want it to be. But if you talk about the Oklahoma towns, then all they talk about is the Tulsa massacre. Black Wall Street. That was in 1921 when there was a race riot. Now, last I checked, a riot has to be two different groups of people fighting each other. A riot isn't when the army and the police come in with guns and start killing people. That's not a riot. That's a massacre. Okay? And so do your research. There's Tulsa, Oklahoma, called Black Wall Street Massacre. But it doesn't mention the other 49 black towns that were in Oklahoma. And so this notion of integration at that particular time, I felt we just wasn't informed enough as a nation of people. I think we're just following this notion that civil rights was going to do something positive for us, and it was just very counterproductive, if you ask me. I mean, you're going to ask for civil rights when that's basically the right to vote and citizenship. I mean, that was supposed to have happened in 1865 during the 14th and 15th Amendment, or actually the 13th and 14th Amendment. They had those 3 amendments. 13th Amendment abolished slavery. 14th Amendment granted citizenship to blacks. And the 15th Amendment gave blacks the right to vote. This was 1865. And so for someone like myself, whose third eye is open, I'm like, wait a minute, why are we fighting for something? Or why is it we have to march for something that was already basically on the books you know, almost 100 years prior. Okay, and so that kind of stuff there, I like. Like I said, education is a lot different from knowledge. You know, wisdom and knowledge, the true stuff, can affect the nation. You know, because education can be tainted. Okay, and so that's why I say, you know, I don't think the civil rights movement back then was productive for us. I think Martin Luther King Jr. knew that after the fact. Um, you know, like I say, you're having the Vietnam War during this whole civil rights movement. Of course, there's going to be, you know, attention actually away from the civil rights movement. Okay, and then of course these same people fighting for civil rights, you know, their kids are joining the army, going to fight in Vietnam. So I just think it's interesting that, you know, a lot of people don't know that. Okay, and so I want to play another clip, and this next clip here is right before Martin Luther King Jr. was killed. I want you to listen to this and see if you ever heard this. Okay, hold up, 1 minute, please.
Plead with you.
Here we go.
I come here tonight and plead with you. Believe in yourself and believe that you're somebody. As I said to the group last night, nobody else can do this for us. No document can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. No Tennessonian or Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, he must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation. Don't let anybody take your manhood. Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. There's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
My favorite Martin Luther King Jr. speech of all times is that one right there. Okay? And I don't think a lot of people ever heard that. But that was his mindset before he was killed. Okay? He's a great man. I think he had a lot of virtuous ways. I mean, it's just a difficult time. You know, when you put in a situation where you're doing things, and in the end you find out it's counterproductive to the masses of people that are following you. It can be a heartbreaking, eye-opening experience, and I think that's what he saw at the end, and that's why those speeches were a lot different than "I Have a Dream." The "I Have a Dream" was optimism. Okay, those last two speeches was realism. Okay, like I say, civil rights have never ever changed the mindset of evil people. Human rights does that. Okay, change happens when the masses are affected, and not just one group. And so I'm gonna leave you guys with a little history about why Martin Luther King Jr. changed his name. His name was his birth name was Michael King. He changed it to his dad changed it to Martin Luther King Jr. or suggested him change it to Martin Luther because of the Protestant, during the Protestant Reformation in the 1500s, a guy named Martin Luther, he was a professor of theology. He wrote 95 theses. And in these 95 theses, he was actually criticizing the Catholic Church and how the Pope was not God, and how you couldn't just, sell indulgences to people, and how people think that just by, having an indulgence, your sins are automatically forgiven without actually repenting, without actually feeling the Christ in your heart. Martin Luther started that in 1517. And that Reformation in Germany actually changed the Roman Catholic Church. It actually divided the Christianity into different ones. I mean, that's why after the Protestant Reformation, you had the Catholic Church, you had the Anabaptists. So there was a lot of different sectors created. And it all started in 1517 when Martin Luther wrote those 95 Theses. I would suggest you guys check that out. The 95 Theses, and you look at them, they're very, very, very informational, especially number 46. Okay? So, like I say, guys, thank you for giving me your time. It's been a lovely, blessed day. In the meantime, in between time, may the Most High inside of you bring you joy. And I'm Matty, 5,000.